New problems need new thinking. This program is proudly brought to you by IBM. Let's put smart to work.
The surge in demand for pay now, buy now, pay later services such as Afterpay. Businesses may be booming, but is the sector saddling young Australians with excessive debt? Well, joining me now with some answers, David Swan from the technology podcast /. David, good morning. So why have products such as Afterpay taken off in the way that they have?
Yeah, customers are absolutely lapping it up, particularly young people. We're seeing that young people, your Gen Ys, your millennials, are quite averse when it comes to credit cards. So they still want a way to buy later, but pay later. And they're lapping up Zip and Afterpay and sending their shares skyrocketing. And these companies are doing incredibly well. They're worth more now than the likes of Myer and David Jones, for example.
Yeah, I've got some friend of mine who bought at $3 and has made a small fortune. What's caused the massive share price gains? Because now it's nudging 100, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite surprising. These companies are Australian-born companies, and no one had even heard of them a few years ago. And now they're actually taking on the world stage. So we're seeing them rack up market share in the US and the UK, for example. So it's sort of been in the US at its own game when it comes to tech innovation, when it comes to these companies. And I think our investors are seeing that you might as well buy stock in Zip or Afterpay rather than buy stock in a retailer, a more traditional retailer like a Myer or David Jones.
Should they be regulated more strongly then?
That's what we investigated with this latest episode of /. And the strong reaction from most people we spoke to was yes, that they're not regulated. They're currently self-regulated and they've got their own code of conduct that they're working on. It's voluntary. What we heard from most of the commentators we spoke to is that people can fall into debt and they're not regulated strong enough.
What about the people who are using them?
Yeah, so we spoke to some young people who have fallen into debt. It's not the companies themselves that we should be worried about. It's that the companies sell the debt onto debt collectors who can be really aggressive when it comes to chasing vulnerable young people who might have lost their jobs during COVID, for example, and then have no way to repay the debt. So young people are taking up these services, but they need to be aware of what they're getting into.
So it could well be causing a debt issue down the track.
Yeah, particularly as we're in a recession at the moment and the economic conditions are seeming like they're getting worse, not better. So that's not fertile ground for young people to be able to get through this. So we need to watch the regulation, maybe call on government to do something about it, and young people need to make sure they're not biting off more than they can chew.
Okay, /. The new podcast for forward thinkers is available now in the Australian mobile app or any podcast player.